Hello. Hi, I'm Kirk Plangger, and I am here to explain and take you through briefly our recent publication in the Journal of Advertising Research. Um, so that this is a piece of work that I've written with Colin Campbell, Sean Sands, Jan Keatsman, and Kenneth Bates. All right, so we've been hearing a lot about the evolution of AI. AI has really come alive and doing amazing things, really. So it has evolved to the point that it can generate content across many different kinds of domains that only humans were able to do before. So, such as writing really interesting narratives like stories. Well, of course, those of us that are professors our students like to use ChatGPT to write essays and do presentations and stuff like that. It can paint unique fine art. It can compose music. It can produce audio and video that can be extremely convincing. You would actually think that that was actually something that someone has said. And while and for example, this picture on the slide is about a film called Roadrunner, and it's a film produced after Anthony Bourdain, the famous celebrity chef, committed suicide. Actually, it was produced 37 months after his suicide, using a variety of deepfake techniques that which are I'll explain a little bit more about that later. But they basically fed this into an AI, and they fed the email correspondence into the AI, and they were able to synthesize his voice, which can be a little bit creepy, but it's almost like bringing someone back from the dead. So yeah, but while AI has been replacing a lot of menial tasks in advertising, with the trying to make sense of huge, big advertising data. This generative AI may be able to replace humans in many creative fields in the future. But AI is not all the same. So there are three general types of AI. So there's the analytical AI, which, as I just mentioned, sort of breaks down massive sets of data into useful, valuable insights that can be known. So from the unknown big set of data to something that's useful and known. Interpretive AI is something that that uses this contextual data together with other kinds of analytics and to autonomously make decisions. So if you've ever received an email from an online retailer like Amazon, and it's recommending something, or that's what we're talking about. It's making a decision and deciding by itself to recommend that to you. And lastly, that's brings us to the creative AI. And that is where AI autonomously envisions, imagines, and creates new kinds of realities. And so those realities might be, as I said, a picture, a video, a voice, something like that, right? Within that creative AI space, we have two very prominent technologies that are out there. So we have deepfakes, which are basically mirroring the visage or the so that the face or the voice of someone, and putting that onto someone else, right? So in this case, it's some man and Putin, and then the actual reenactment is both of them together. Although Putin wasn't there and wasn't part of the generation of the content, right? So in that sense, it's almost masking and creating a fake image of Putin, and saying words that he'd never said before. I'll have an example in a sec. With GANs are generative adversarial networks. And this is just an example that I found. So it basically is two different AIs, and they're battling each other. And one is called the discriminator, and one's called the generator. So the generator keeps on generating a whole bunch of images or of content, and a very continuous cycle. And the discriminator's job is to guess which ones are fake. So it mixes in some real data and some fake data. So in this case, they're dollar bills, or sorry, they're not dollar bills. They're American money. And sometimes they're real, but sometimes they're fake. And sometimes they're really, really obviously fake, but sometimes it's extremely, it convinces the discriminator that that's the same as the real data. And so that's at the end of the GAN process, and that's what they release. Now, this kind of a technique can actually create people that are have never breathed before, never experienced anything before. Okay, so pro-democracy group Represent Us wanted to encourage American voters to vote in an election, and they also wanted to address the allegations of voter manipulation by international agents like North Korea and Russia. So let's go listen to their ad.
America, you blame me for interfering with your democracy, but I don't have to. You are doing it to yourselves. Polling stations are closing. You don't know who to trust. You are divided. There are strings we can pull, but we don't have to. You are pulling them for us.
So that example sort of illustrates the chilling reality of how we can put someone else's words into anybody's mouth, right? And make them do all kinds of things. So how is AI manipulated advertising likely to affect the advertising industry? So we, in the paper, we sought to sort of break down the advertising supply chain and really understand for each individual actor in that supply chain, what are some of the techniques and some of the worries as well as some of the opportunities there. So obviously we don't have enough time for all of that, but I just wanted to go through a couple. So for brand managers, we see that there is likely to be reduced ad campaign cost and effort, as well as increased flexibility, as well as, but at the same time, it could lead to misinformation and ad hijacking or brand hijacking that may have negative impacts on the brand's reputation. For planners and strategists, this may result in more personalized advertisements that are very much personalized down to the single consumer. We're not talking about micro-targeting, we're talking about like really every single consumer sees something a little bit different. But at the same time, it might be very hard to manage all those tiny little segments, and to figure out how to make sure that we're saying a consistent message across all of those different advertisements. For talents and models, this could increase productivity because you can be in many places at the same time if you're some kind of model or an endorser. However, it also could lead to the substitutability of AI content. And we've seen that now with influencers being replaced with AI influencers as well. So we want to advocate to prevent advertising myopia. So similarly to Theodore Levitt's famous article, Marketing Myopia, we really think that advertising needs to see beyond just what they've been doing and really understand what the true value they bring to the advertising supply chain. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening.